Crews make quick work of a brush fire that threatened homes in a San Diego neighborhood. We are there live as firefighters are mopping up the hot spots.
The district attorney says one of the deadliest forms of domestic violence is on the rise. The new campaign it just debuted to fight back against abusers.
Plus, how a man was able to walk into a Bay Area art gallery and easily walk out with a rare painting less than a minute later. The lights are just starting to come back on as thousands of SDG&E customers had their power knocked out after a brush fire broke out in a San Diego neighborhood.
SDG&E had to cut the power out of an abundance of caution as the fire burned a hillside in Talmadge. Our 10 News reporter Mackenzie Maynard has been monitoring the firefight all afternoon, and Mackenzie, looks like they have it pretty well mopped up right now.
Yeah, I want to just directly point your attention to here behind me. Not only do they have it pretty well mopped up, but you're getting a good idea of just how much of the area burned. You see all of the charred palms as well as some of the brush down here on the ground. And as some of the crews have left this area, they're still monitoring it. We want to show you right up there by that hill. About a half hour ago, we did have a hot spot. We saw flames kind of shoot up from that area, but because there are so many fire crews still here, they were able to get that put out pretty quickly. The crews have since moved up this hill across from Fairmont, across on the other side of Fairmont. You can see them taking down some of the brush there as they're continuing to mop up that side of the road. Let's bring you some footage from earlier when we were out here. They say that fire crews tell us the start of the fire was north of where we are on Fairmont, and what they explain it as, it picked up really quick because of the winds. So it burned south towards Aldine Drive, and then because of the winds, jumped Fairmont and made its way up the hill and toward the homes that did have evacuations earlier. Now, right now they're telling us between 4 and 5 acres, but they say it could be more. Right now they're still investigating. Another part of this that we have been keeping an eye on, SDG&E crews were out here. They actually shut off power for the area. 4,000 customers were without power. Initially, they thought it wouldn't be restored till 9:30. We actually want to show you not only were customers, people, residents living in the area affected, but businesses also affected today as they were without power. We actually talked with one business who tells us he was paid the price for not having any credit card machines able to take payments.
Yes, we do. 10 minutes ago, a person had the interview for tomorrow, and even though the machine doesn't work, he was lucky. He could see his clothes right away there, and I gave it to him, and he could go for his interview, you know.
And we're told in the last 30 minutes, power has been starting to get restored for some of the neighborhoods in this area. So SDG&E is hoping to have that on here shortly. As far as the road, it is shut down, and they expect to have it shut down for another few hours. For now, reporting live, Mackenzie Maynard, 10 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. And evacuations are lifted tonight, letting people return to their homes. But there were some pretty tense moments this afternoon as that fire burned.
10 News reporter Michael Chen spoke with neighbors who quickly packed up what they could to get out. Michael?
Yeah, they sure did. We're on Norma Drive in a backyard, and a lot of smiles, a lot of relief as those residents return home. Below me, you can see part of that blackened canyon on the west side of Fairmont Avenue. That is believed to be about the starting point of that fast-moving brush fire that ended up sneaking up on residents. Flames sweeping across a hill just before 2 this afternoon, a wall of black smoke in tow. Police then going door to door with mandatory evacuations along Norma Drive, Constance Drive, and Natalie Drive. Firefighters tell me it was pretty scary for a good 20 minutes. 3 helos quickly on scene. We saw water drop after water drop in quick succession. Flames getting to within 150 or so feet of some backyards, and within 45 minutes, fire crews getting a good handle on that fire. Those evacuation orders then lifted. JR lives on Norma Drive. He tells me he smelled something, went to his backyard, and saw that thick wall of black smoke right on him.
I was up on the roof hosing things down, and PD came by and said, mandatory out of here. And then I said, well, I'm out. I have a point here a peninsula and it'd be a great place for them to fight the fire. And he said, go tell the fire department that. And then he brought hoses in here. I'm very relieved. You know, it's kind of nervous.
So back out live, we're told they're going to be mopping up for a few more hours. Now, neighbors say they have seen some transient encampments in the general area, but are not sure if they've seen any in that exact fire zone. The cause of the fire still undetermined. We are live in Talmadge. Michael Chen, 10 News.
They make quick work of that fire today. Thank you, Michael. Some parts of the county are facing an elevated fire risk, and meteorologist Angelica Campos tracking these conditions today.
Yeah, we know October is known for the beginning of the season of Santa Ana winds, and they're here. They're still impacting some parts of the county, especially mountains and deserts. Where that fire was burning, the winds are pretty much non-existent right now. There is very little wind at the moment, and close to downtown also not a lot of wind. The problem is that the winds are going to be turning this week, and as they do so, it's going to get increasingly windy for the end of the week. Even right now, we still have winds over 20 miles per hour in Julian, gusting close to 20 in Alpine. So in a few given areas, it's still a windy afternoon and evening. When the winds turn more to the west, which they are already doing that along the coast, we're expecting stronger wind gusts for our mountains. In some parts of the county, we could see winds of up to 50 miles an hour before the week is over. So the fire danger most likely is something that will continue, but the temperatures will be a completely different story. It's going to be a roller coaster. I'll break it all down in your 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Angelica. San Diego City Council failed to override a veto by Mayor Kevin Faulconer today. The veto shoots down amendments to city regulations on how many units in a housing development are reserved for low-income families. Well, the main amendment would have required 15% of units be rented out at 50% of the average family income in the county. Councilwoman Georgette Gomez proposed a change of renting just 10% of the units at 60% of the average income. Council will consider the changes next month. And domestic violence is a complex and deeply personal crime. And the San Diego County District Attorney says one of the most lethal forms is on the rise.
Strangulation cases have quadrupled over the last 6 years. And our 10 News anchor Derek Stahl reports on the new campaign to address it.
Melissa Contreras was a hard-working mother of 3 in Oceanside until her life was cut short in 2016.
And it hurts, and I still can't believe that she's not here.
Contreras was strangled to death in front of her 2-year-old son.
This initiative is another big step in fighting domestic violence.
Tuesday, the DA's office and health officials announced a new campaign specifically targeting strangulation, with thousands of signs like these going up in health clinics and new training for healthcare professionals to better spot the warning signs.
We know that victims are often reluctant to report to police, but will trust their healthcare provider.
Experts say more than half the time there are no physical marks on the victim, so it's about noticing other clues.
Vision changes, hearing loss, potentially painful or difficulty swallowing.
The campaign will start Wednesday with a huge training session for all the county's major health providers. It'll cost $25,000. Supporters say it's a small price to pay.
It saves lives just as treating someone with chest pain saves lives.
Especially when you consider cases like Melissa Contreras. Derek Stahl, 10 News.
That campaign is the latest in a series of efforts targeting domestic violence here in San Diego County. In 2017, local police agencies adopted a new protocol to refer victims to forensic nurses. The DA says it's a first in California, and it has had a huge impact, with prosecutions jumping from 66 in 2015 to more than 250 last year.
A San Diego man used bear spray on 3 sheriff's deputies and stabbed a canine in the face during an arrest today. Well, deputies say they were called to Jamul about 10 a.m. to check on a man pacing and talking to himself. They say they went to check on him when he bear sprayed them and stabbed the canine. Deputies managed to restrain the man and arrest him. The deputies who were sprayed and the canine are expected to be okay.
A true crime author just signed a deal to write a book about the death of Rebecca Zahow at the Spreckels mansion 8 years ago. Caitlin Rother said the book's tentative title is Justice for Rebecca and is set to be published in 2021. Investigators determined Zahow's death was a suicide, but her family filed a suit against the brother of Zahow's boyfriend, claiming that he was responsible. Despite a jury finding Adam Shacknight liable in Zahal's death, the civil case against him was dismissed earlier this year.
A family friend says 2 siblings injured in a fire that destroyed their Logan Heights home should be able to leave the hospital soon. The friend says Wendy and Angel Romero are recovering well. She says the other sibling, 21-year-old Iris, was seriously injured. Firefighters believe she shielded her brother Angel from the flames. Her parents did not survive.
Crews have put the finishing touches on repairs to Coast Boulevard in La Jolla. The city shared this picture to Twitter showing the completed work. Crews were working on that road this summer when they realized they needed to stabilize the sea caves below. So they finished shoring up those caves last month before returning to the work on the road.